Some people made an incredible amount of money today. Some of the big movers included United Airlines, Kohl's, Tesla, Trump Media, Apple Computer. And all you had to do to get in on the fun was listen to Trump himself. He wrote on Truth Social just minutes after the market opened, "This is a great time to buy," 3 exclamation points. Hours later, he announced a temporary pause on tariffs. The market soared, best day point-wise in history. The question is, how many other people listen to Trump? I'm not talking about people, random people. I'm talking about the people who knew what he was going to do, who knew the plan.
Over the last few days, I've been thinking about it. I've been dealing with Scott, with Howard, with some other people that are very professional. And I think it probably came together early this morning, fairly early this morning, just wrote it up.
And right before the announcement, there were some big bets made in the stock market that the announcement would happen. And if those people knew what Trump was going to do, that would be insider trading, unfair, illegal, and wrong. So there's either 2 things going on. Trump is enforcing the strictest ethics rules ever, and there was no shenanigans, or there's a lot of insider trading. And to state the obvious, Donald Trump's relationship with ethics is casual, which makes him like everybody else here in Washington. CNBC's Andrew Ross Sorkin covers stocks for a living, had an inkling this would happen. Here's what he said just Monday.
Given what the government's been doing and this administration's been doing, it would not shock me, and I hate to speculate, if we were to find out that a whole bunch of people who work in Washington as our elected leaders, one way or the other, ultimately sold stocks last week, or potentially worse than that, shorted the market.
Doesn't have to shock you, Andrew. It happens all the time. It's been happening for years. But in this case, right, about the Trump situation, Democrats in Congress are already saying they are sure wrongdoing is happening, and Adam Schiff is here to investigate.
I'm writing to the White House to demand who knew in advance that the president was going to once again flip-flop on tariffs, and are people cashing in? There is just all too much opportunity for people in the White House and the administration to be insider trading. An administration that has their own meme coins and is already engaged in self-interested dealing when Elon is doging agencies that are doing oversight of his own businesses. In that kind of corrupt climate, you have to assume the worst, and we're going to try to find out.
Oh, yeah, because Adam Schiff has found out so much. But here is the problem in a larger sense. Forget Schiff, who's beclowned himself. Congress investigating insider trading is like O.J. Simpson trying to find the real killer. Congress people inside trade all the time. And we know that because they don't beat the market just on tariff day. They beat the market year after year. Here's a look at the highest performing portfolios in Congress. It's lawmakers on both sides of the aisle. A dozen-plus members of Congress beat the S&P 500 year after year. That puts them in Warren Buffett category, not necessarily these folks, but others. And they do it while allegedly working full-time in Congress. Adam Schiff should investigate, and while he's at it, investigate why more than 80% of Americans want a ban on stock trading in Congress, and it hasn't happened yet. For what it's worth, we looked. There was a bill banning stock trading in Congress back when Schiff was in the House, H.R. 1679. Adam Schiff declined to co-sponsor it. Surprises no one that members of Congress get rich trading stocks with all the information that we don't have. And it would surprise no one if members of Trump's team or their families or friends or past business associates got wind of what was happening and made a lot of money. It's why Americans rightly hate all of Washington. Because Washington looks out for itself, not for you. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.